Today, we're gonna pick 5 exercises that are gonna give you 80% of the results that you want in terms of flexibility, good posture, and overall mobility and health of your shoulder. So welcome. If you don't know me, my name's Gagan, and I've been coaching people in yoga, fitness, and performance and health for coming up on 10 years now. And I've learned in that time loads of different techniques and loads of different scientific methodology on how to increase the health and performance of many joints in the body, right? But if I were being really honest, and we're talking about what gives the best results, it's clearly frequency and consistency. So even though I can give somebody the most scientific, the most perfect stretching methodology for them to do, if they're not going to do it on a regular basis, if they don't enjoy doing it, if they find it complicated to do, the health of their joints just falls out the window, right? Because it doesn't matter how scientific my knowledge is, if they don't perform the exercises frequently and consistency at a level that they find enjoyable to do over a long period of time, then they're not going to get the results that I want them to get and they want to get. So we're going to make sure that today that we're talking about exercises that are relatively simple for anyone to do, and they can be done frequently in a daily routine or a weekly routine. Let's quickly go over a very tiny little bit of theory so we understand why we're doing what we're doing. In general, most people are going to have slightly rounded shoulders, especially in this day and age. They're going to have slightly tighter chest, front delt muscles, maybe even their bicep as well. And that is then counteracted with weak and loose rear delts, lower trap muscles, which don't pull the shoulders back how we want. So with that in mind, we want to make sure that we are statically stretching out the muscles that are pulling the shoulder girdle forward, right? And then we are strengthening the muscles that pull the shoulder back, okay? And in that order specifically. This is where yoga sometimes has its limitations if we only think of it as a stretching discipline. So if we only stretch out the chest, only stretch out the bicep and the front delt, even if we stretch out the lats and traps, overall, if we don't teach the nervous system how we want it to contract and how we want the shoulder to sit, we don't get the results that we want to get in terms of flexibility, strength, and health for our body. So let's get into exercise number 1. We want to stretch out the chest, okay? So that if you know the anatomy of how the pec works, the pec attaches into the middle of the sternum here, and then parts of it come into your collarbone, parts of it come into the upper arm, all right? So the main job of the chest is to bring the upper arm across the body and even slightly internally rotate the shoulder. So what we want to be doing is using any kind of stretch or any kind of posture or pose that opens up the chest in this direction. It takes the upper arm away from the center line of the chest, okay? Part of the chest job is also to internally rotate the shoulder, so we also want to be externally rotating the shoulder. Can you see as I'm doing that, how this area gets shorter, and as I externally rotate, that gets longer, right? So it's really important. So as we're doing these chest opening movements, we have a little bit of external rotation of the shoulder. We try to keep the shoulder girdle pulling back and down, which is going to help open up and stretch out this area how we want it to. So not only are you stretching, you're teaching the shoulder girdle exactly how you want it to sit and hold itself. You know, so what we're looking at is something like a hand up against the wall, rotating the shoulder blade back and down, okay? And then moving away from that line. So what I'm trying to do is, if I was closing this off, this would be the closest this would be, okay? There'd be the least amount of stretch possible in my chest. And then I'm rotating away from that to open up the chest and shoulder area. What's really important is that you don't allow, as you rotate this way, the shoulder to rotate inwards and forwards like this. You keep pulling the shoulder blade back and down to open up that area here through your bicep, front delt, and chest. Exercise number 2, we want to get into the triceps and the lats. So we want our hand to come in and behind our head like so. We want to put some distance between your tricep and your lat here. So really important. We don't want this spinal flexion here, okay? Shortens all of this area. We want to try as much as we can to extend through the upper back or tucking the tailbone under. So we're literally stretching from where your lats come in and attach down here, and they finish up here in the shoulder girdle, and where the tricep finishes as well. This is the most stretch we could get in this area. We want to keep extending up through the upper back, okay? And then we want to try to, maintaining the extension of the upper back, get into a side bending pattern here. And you'll start to feel this straight away, either right here in the lats, in that big muscle belly of the lat, or here in the shoulder girdle, as the tricep attaches through that area as well. Okay, let's continue on to the other big muscles that are attaching into the shoulder that could be causing tension in that area for you. So we're going to try to, with our hands here, face the fingertips down towards the ground, okay? Then from here, we want to maintain this external rotation of the upper arm. If you bring your hands further down, it'll get easier. the higher up you go, the harder it have to have your fingertips facing down. We want fingertips facing down because that is the external rotation pattern we want in our shoulder, okay? So as much as we can, the fingertips face down. We straighten out the arm and then we start to turn the body. And then we're getting again, external rotation of the shoulder. That's pulling and opening up the chest here. Getting a little bit of a bicep stretch as well. And look, at different times in the year, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm doing a lot more hand balance practice, if I'm doing a lot more martial arts, a lot more striking, then I'll feel it more maybe in my bicep. Sometimes I feel a little bit more in my forearms, okay, in my wrist, okay. At the minute, it's all chest and shoulder for me, right? And it depends on what you're doing in your training at the time, and you have to adjust it for whatever's appropriate for you. The main thing is, we don't want the shoulder rotating forward. We want big external rotation, and even if that means that your hand's down here to begin with, we'll start with that and we'll work our way up. Specifically, last stretching movement. So we're gonna try to get into the traps here, okay? So really important, think about what we've done. We've got the chest, we've got the bicep and front delt, we've got the tricep and lats, and really there's like one big major muscle now that is kind of needing stretching, and it's your traps, which kind of, they finish up here and kind of start up here in near the ear, underneath here. They come down into the collarbone, into the top of the shoulder here, and they finish all the way down here like the middle of your back, right? It's a giant muscle that kind of gets overlooked in yoga, mobility, strength conditioning, everything. It's a massive, massive muscle group that needs training appropriately. In terms of a stretch, okay, we want to try to make this pattern here. So we want to hold on to the wrist of the shoulder we're trying to stretch. Then you're going to pull your shoulder blade back and down like so. That's really important, okay? Because then the next thing you're going to do is start to lean your head off to the side. And the reason you're doing that is because we need to put distance between the attachment point here, the attachment point here. With your head specifically, your head is such an important area of the body that if you crank your neck over really quickly, what's going to happen is that your shoulders are going to pull up. It's a very natural response. Like think about any time that you've fallen over, have you had to think about engaging your traps or protecting your body? No, you just do it, don't you? So it's ingrained in the nervous system. The head starts to lean off towards the side, tense up, protect the neck, okay? Very natural. This is why this needs to be done slowly. And if you can, time it with some deep, slow breathing as well, of course, right? So pull the shoulder girdle back and down, and then we take the head over. And look, it might mean that you need a little bit more lateral flexion. You might need a little bit more tilting forward. You might need a little bit more leaning back. And at different parts of the year, different parts of your training cycle, on different days, you're gonna feel it in different areas. And it's important to have a little bit of freedom, providing you keep this shoulder pulling back. So naturally, as I put my head forward, my shoulder's gonna come up to support. I wanna keep pulling them back. That same patterning, shoulder pulling back and down. So we're teaching the body how we want it to sit posturally, strength conditioning wise, health wise, in the stretches that we're doing. And then finally, I can't talk to you while I'm demonstrating this movement, but we need to have an exercise where now that the chest is stretched, now that the delt is a little bit more looser, now that the bicep is a little bit more looser, okay, we can pull the shoulder blades back and down. Also, now that the trap's a little bit looser, we can pull the shoulder blades back and down, okay? And we want to strengthen up these muscles in and around the backs of the shoulder blades. It's really important. The reason why we do the static stretching first is because if we, in your mind, right, think a tight muscle has kgs and pounds of tension, okay? And when we stretch it, we loosen that tension. So it literally means that your shoulder, the muscles here underneath the shoulder blades, they have less resistance to pull back against. Okay, and that's really, really important when you're trying to correct an imbalance for any kind of health, mobility, strength conditioning. Okay, we have to stretch out the other side first, give it the best chance possible to then pull the shoulder blades back and down. And we want multiple sets and reps in this range, okay? We also want to relax the head. So we don't want your neck and traps tensing up to hold the head. So you put a cushion or you put, I've got my head on the crash mat in the video that I'm going to show you. You want to put your head on the crash mat to relax the neck completely and really focus on these muscles that are here underneath the shoulder blades and contracting back here like so. I want you to imagine that you're pulling your shoulder blades back into your back pockets. That's the best way to think about this. So your shoulders don't just pull up and back, they put some distance between your ears. All right, okay, thank you for watching until this point. You know, get that kind of training into your daily routines. And thank you for sticking with the video as long as you have. You know, I might be a very experienced coach and a very experienced teacher of mobility and training, but I'm very new to this. I'm very new to presenting these ideas within a format on a video with kind of no one around me at the minute. I normally feed off people's energy in the moment. So yeah, I have lots of knowledge and lots of methodology, and I'm learning at the minute how to kind of condense it into these short videos for you. So this is a learning process, and I thank you for being here right at the start of this journey. All right, that's it for today then. Good luck on your mobility journey, and I'll see you in the next one.